This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Tuesday, and I'm not high enough for this shit. Cricks, War Machine, Byronic, Matt was first. Justin who? Justin Muffins. Ducky, Clinically, Warlord. What war are we talking? Yeah, Twitch seems to be acting up. Fuzzy Simba. Maybe it has something to do with those cables that got cut in the Red Sea. Wait a minute, Russia invaded Poland? No fucking way. Maybe we got cyber attacked. You know, we've had several municipalities got cyber ransomed, including it was Las Vegas just a couple weeks ago. Invading Poland, not a good thing. I've read history. YouTube people, what's going on? I've got more fans on YouTube nowadays. Maybe the algorithm is finally working out in my favor. Welcome in, YouTube people. Don't forget to like the stream. Comment. It helps me. Go watch some shit on my channel. Welcome in. I'm Justin Freakin. We find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on the Troll Patrol Live. You can even call in and argue with me. 917-830-4359. You can hop in the Discord. Meet Gates. Welcome in, friends. I'm trying to be more on the ball about posting things to TikTok, to YouTube. I've been getting on Twitch a lot and just jacking off. Not literally. I do that on OnlyFans. On Twitch, we get on, we watch classic television or concerts. Ducky, you can invade Russia. Holiday. The one short was on fire? Which one? I posted like 5 today, including my Joni Ernst one. I actually made that. Curiouser came over, we were taking bong rips yesterday, and I was finishing up the Joni Ernst video, and I didn't post it. People are actually reacting well to me gooning on Joni Ernst. Which is a first. It's a first. Hey, here's a Smokey. You guys want to see Smokey? Oh, he went the other way. Had 43 likes in the first 43 seconds? No way. Damn. I know I had one that went from like 0 to 800 views in like a minute because I saw it update in real time and I was like, whoa, that's craziness. I'm trying to do more freaking newses, trying to concentrate on the YouTube to, glaze the constituency, service the constituency, masturbate the constituency. I don't know what the proper terminology would be. You guys know what I mean. Good evening. Welcome in. I'm Justin Freakin. We're going to find out what that news be doing. Titty slaps to everybody who has just subscribed.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
Somebody slapped me in the titty. My titty has been hurting the last couple of days, and somebody slapped me too hard. I don't like it. I don't like pain. Light one up, tip one back. Let's start off tonight with the weird thing that's going on at the White House. There was supposed to be a press conference at 4:20. At 4:20 today, Trump never showed up. I actually don't know what's going on. Apparently, it was supposed to be about the birthday note. So, very odd situation going on. So the White House press pool was loaded into a motorcade for a destination unknown. This is Aaron Rupar about an hour ago. In-town pool report number 9, loading into motorcade. This was at 7:01 p.m. Being loaded into a motorcade for destination unknown. Trump was supposed to make a announcement, some sort of proclamation at 4:20 this afternoon, and never showed up. So I'm not exactly sure what this means. The White House currently not live. So I have no idea. So we're gonna go here but not here. Just leaving. See you, DJ Dub. Have a good, well, smoke one with me before you leave, my friend. Trump went out to dinner and got booed. Sounds plausible. So the big news today that I woke up to was that Israel had attacked the negotiators that were in Doha, meeting to talk about a ceasefire. Israel decides to use that as a trap. This seems like a war crime.
We begin with breaking news in the Middle East. Israel has carried out strikes in Qatar targeting senior Hamas leaders in the capital city of Doha. It is the first time Israel has struck inside Qatar. Israel is calling the attack the summit of fire. It comes as efforts to end the war in Gaza continue. Doha has been the base of the Hamas negotiating group, and Hamas confirmed to the BBC
I'm going to assume they did not go over Saudi Arabia to attack, but went over Jordan, Iraq, and Kuwait, which would require U.S. cooperation.
Delegation was the target of the attacks. The U.S. Embassy in Qatar issued an immediate warning to U.S. citizens there. We have seen reports of missile strikes occurring in Doha. The U.S. Embassy has instituted...
The U.S. warned Qatar before the attack happened.
Shelter in place and monitor social media for updates. So let's go now to CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio in London for us today. Remy, thank you for joining us. What can you tell us at this time?
Mugo, yeah, good to see you. Quickly developing here, we're getting fresh lines from Israeli military radio.
Fresh lines.
The details of how this operation unfolded. According to IDF radio, this operation has in fact been planned for several months. The IDF saying that over the course of the past several months, through these on again and these off again attempts for a ceasefire and for negotiations to release those hostages, they say that Hamas, quote, has shown more rigidity regarding the deal. And so Israel, again, a quote here.
So now the White House informed Qatar. However, Trump has said that he has condemned the attack. Hamas said none of their leaders were killed. That's the latest update.
Decided to accelerate the battle procedure. The operation, they say, involved 15 fighter jets that took part in the attack. 10
Qatar is denying that the White House told them anything about it.
One target was attacked, and that their pilots all landed safely in Israel. Now, as I've said that, it appears also that
6 people were killed.
Is saying that something slightly different to Saudi media. They say that Israeli warplanes struck one house. It's the home of one of the leaders, one of the senior leadership members of Hamas. His name is Khalil al-Haya. He's also been the chief negotiator in the ceasefire and hostage negotiations. They say that they targeted his house as well as a nearby house, but it was his house that was specifically targeted, focused on. There are conflicting reports right now, Mugo, on whether he was killed, whether he was assassinated. Hamas says that he did survive that attempt, but other media say that he was in fact killed. There are reports out saying that there are other people, other Hamas leadership that were also in that house, talking about the most recent proposal coming out from Israel and from the United States. We do not know, and we cannot confirm any other names at this time, but it is understood that at least one name has been floated out there. And of course, we will get more names if and as they come.
And Rami, I understand we're still working to iron out some of the information here that's coming out of this attack and if there are possibly any casualties. But we're talking about senior Hamas leaders here. So it brings up the question, if you're going after those senior leaders, what impact could this possibly have on efforts to get a ceasefire in the first place?
Absolutely. If you take out the people who you are ostensibly trying to mediate with, then who will you talk to? And then that leaves the open question of what becomes of this ceasefire and hostage negotiation from here on out. From what we are gathering, what we're understanding is that they were talking about these latest proposals. The most recent proposal that we had heard from Israeli media that came from the White House, it came from President Trump, is that there was the attempt, if you will, to release all 48 hostages still believed to be held in Gaza. That includes both those who are alive and dead. That would have been in exchange for potentially thousands of Palestinian prisoners. But again, to your question, these are uncharted waters. We do not know what will happen here if Israel, if the United States want to try to carry on with some kind of negotiations. Also to that point, Qatar, which has been one of the mediating countries along with Egypt, they have said that they are now suspending.
Just another day in war crime USA.
Foreseeable future. So even if anyone wanted to talk, at least one of the two main negotiating partners has said not right now.
And Rami, I heard in your reporting there as you were speaking that this attack it had been planned for some time, for months, but then does it come as a surprise? I assume it was a surprise for Qatar, obviously as a surprise as well for those senior Hamas leaders.
Yes, well, the plans, of course, if they are to be believed, having been developed over the past several months, would obviously not be made public, but it does appear very much so that this has caught the region off guard. In terms of condemnations that have come out fast and furious over the past 15, 20 minutes, I'll read these out to you. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, and perhaps no surprise to our viewers, Iran here. I do want to say that Kuwait, the UAE, as well as Jordan, have recognized Israel, have normalized relations with Israel in the past several years. So these are from potentially, you could say, recently recognized allies, now very much angry, I think is the appropriate word here, in terms of what appears.
That's why you shouldn't have normalized relationship with them.
Been caught out for these attacks.
You just helped embolden
that we've been
a terrorist state
in Doha.
Moments ago, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed this. He was over at the U.S. Embassy's Independence Day event. Let's listen.
Oh, he was here.
Now, much of the world, including...
Oh, no, it was in Jerusalem, okay.
...democratic world, or governments at least, have shamefully forgotten October 7th. But I don't forget, and Israel will never forget. Never. There was a time when Jews could be murdered with impunity, but since the founding of the State of Israel, those days are over.
What he meant to say was that since the founding of Israel, Jews have murdered with impunity.
On this day, as in previous days, Israel acted wholly independently, and we take full responsibility for this action. And this action can open the door to an end of the war in Gaza. Israel has accepted the proposal put forward by President Trump to end the war, beginning with the immediate release of all our hostages, which have been held in the dungeons of Gaza for 700 days. If President Trump's proposal is accepted, the war can end immediately. We can begin once again to pursue the expansion of peace in our region for the benefit of all. But I want to close by directing my words to the people of Gaza. Don't be derailed by these murderous terrorists, by these killers. They don't care a hoot about you. They live in sumptuous villas. You can't imagine how...
They don't care a hoot about you?
Away from this battle scene. Their partners in Gaza don't worry about you. They go to the underground tunnels and they keep you above ground so you...
Sounds like projection to me.
Don't be derailed by these killers. Stand up for your rights and for your future. Make peace with us. Accept President Trump's proposal. Don't worry. You can do it.
And once again, this is in English, so you know what that means. But he was also speaking at the American Embassy.
A Lincoln County teenager reported
we can
missing on Sunday is
a
safe.
different future, but you've got to take these people out of the way. If you do, there is no limit to our common future. Thank you.
All right, so a lot to unpack there. So let's bring in CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd. Sam, always great to talk to you. The U.S. was informed. But
No, I think we're going to go. I love how CBS News talks about Bibi's response. Why don't we hear from the Qatari Prime Minister, who is calling this an act of state terrorism?
It's unlikely to pay a price anytime soon.
I've got to just interrupt because we have this news conference taking place in the Ministry of Finance. We can get over and have a listen to what the Foreign Minister is at the moment saying, or his spokesman. And here you go, Majid Al-Ansari there.
Seen as terrorism. This has targeted the headquarters or the political office of Hamas during the negotiations. The security forces and civil defense went directly under the directives of His Highness the Emir to address the situation that happened, the attack that took place on 3:46 p.m. and taking care of all those who died or were injured during this attack. We also took all the measures in order to contain the situation. In this regard, we present and express our sincere condolences to the martyr Saad al-Dusri, who died during his while he was carrying out his duties in this event. We also pray that all those who died or has been killed will be in the paradise. The state of Qatar is committed to
get them virgins
in a decisive way with anything that would target its territories, and will reserve the rights to retaliate and will take all the needed measures to retaliate. And under the directives of His Highness the Emir, the security of the citizens and the residents is our top priority. And based on that, as of tomorrow, God willing, we will review all the policies and the directives in order to deter such actions and measures in the future so that it cannot happen again. And this will be also the committee will be headed by State Minister Mohammed Al-Khalifi, who will take all the needed measures in order to retaliate and to respond to this attack, against this attack. The Israeli attack that took place today in the state of Qatar. We can only call it as state terrorism that is being exerted by someone like Netanyahu, given his attempts and his policies as he tries to threaten the regional security. This is only a clear message to the whole region. And this message says that there is one player, and there's also a disrespect to all the policies and also a violation to the sovereignty of all the countries and the states. Netanyahu said himself that he will reshape the Middle East. Does he mean that he's also going to reshape the Gulf region? I think that we have reached a decisive moment. There should be a retaliation from the whole region in the face of those barbaric actions that only reflects one thing. It reflects the barbarism of this person that is leading the region to, unfortunately, to a point where we cannot address any situation and we cannot repair anything and we cannot work within the frameworks of international laws. He just violates all those international laws. This attack the targeting was beyond and violating not only international laws but only all morals.
This is one of their allies.
Mediator state that is hosting formal negotiations in a formal and official mediation and hosting with a delegation from a state that is sending missiles and rockets against another group of a delegation from another state that they are supposed to negotiate with. How can this be morally accepted? We can only call this as treatness.
It's not acceptable.
And to be cheated on or to be treated in this way and coming from such a person is not surprising. However, this is a systematic behavior coming from a person that is claiming or alleging that they want to stabilize the region, but what he's doing is only destabilizing the region for his own and personal goals. During the last days, the negotiations were ongoing, and it was on track upon the request of the American or the U.S. side, as we were deciding on reviewing the final paper that was received from the U.S. side. And despite this, and despite that Israel was sending their delegation, they worked on not keeping any possibility to reach any deal. Is there any clearer message that the world needs to understand who is closing and shutting the door of peace? Does the international community need any other messages to know who's the bully in the region?
Damn, I'm glad we watched this.
The history will record this event, and the international laws should take such incident into consideration. Because working on violating the sovereignty of states without any respect and in a reckless manner, this is something that we should take into consideration, and we should take all the needed measures to counter such behavior. We have worked and open challenge with all the friendly and sisterly countries in order to take all the needed measures and to address this attack. And God willing, we will announce all the steps and measures that we will take in the upcoming days. Thank you.
That was Mohammed
the steps and measures.
bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. That is the Qatari Prime Minister. Qatar being the most Western-friendly Middle Eastern country. And he laid it out clear as day. It's Israel. Israel is the impediment to peace. Israel is the cause of all the strife you're seeing. Israel just doomed any chance at peace talks continuing. Qatar, the most pro-Western Arabic country that had no stake in it. It was just trying to mediate peace. Basically called it a war crime. Avalon. Negotiators for Hamas and Israel. Israel had people there. Were meeting in Doha, and Israel struck in an attempt to kill the Hamas negotiators. The White House said it informed Qatar. Qatar says it didn't. The White House has also said that it did not engage with Israel and help it with the attack. A journalist describes the attack. He was nearby.
Let's take you now to Doha. We've connected with Canadian journalist Andrew Mills. He is the Gulf Deputy Bureau Chief for Reuters. Andrew, first of all, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate this.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, he had a Hamas camera.
This happened very close to your home and your family. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I was here at home this afternoon at about 4:45, working in my home office. My kids are upstairs doing their homework, and we heard a series of 6 or 7 very loud blasts. I watched the windows heave and thought they were going to blast in. This happened about 500 meters from our house. Luckily, we are all safe and sound, but this is definitely a neighborhood and a city and a country that's pretty shaken tonight.
So tell us more about where this happened, the area, the neighborhood.
Yeah, this neighborhood is called Liktefia. It's known as a neighborhood of a residential neighborhood with schools and embassies, shops, and a lot of houses.
Yeah, just a residential area.
Certainly one of the housing compounds was home to the Hamas political leadership, some members of the Hamas political leadership here in Qatar. It's a compound that I've had my eye on for some time because after the current phase of the war in Gaza began, we had Qatari police officers, quite heavy fortifications put up around this compound. And so the suspicion has been that, it was probably an area that Hamas was coming and going from.
What reaction do we have from Qatari officials?
We're waiting on a press conference, so we haven't had a very fulsome reaction yet from Qatar. But certainly in the initial responses to the attack, they were responded with shock, certainly cited violations of international law and concerns about their sovereignty being violated. So we'll have to see what the next steps are that Qatar takes.
And can you remind us of the role that Qatar has played as a go-between here?
I mean, what are they going to do?
So since really the morning of October 7th, 2023,
what can they do?
Played a very active role alongside mediators Egypt and the United States, trying to find...
I mean, Qatar is basically a puppet state of the U.S.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They've hosted Israeli delegations here. I can't count how many times Israeli delegations have been here, and the Hamas political leadership is here as well. So Qatar kind of has constantly acted as this go-between to try to form any kind of ceasefire deal that could work both for the Israeli side and for Hamas. I mean, 24 hours ago, I reported that Qatar's prime minister was meeting with the Hamas leadership last night in an effort to try to press them to accept the latest U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal. So this role has been ongoing up until, just the day before this attack. That's one of the reasons that Qatar says they do host the Hamas leadership here, is that it allows Qatar to be this conduit to Hamas to have a dialogue with one part of the conflict. Yes, so we'll see what happens to Qatar's role and whether these moves have made the Qataris decide they want to sort of adjust the role that they play as a mediator here.
And Andrew, just back to the strike that happened earlier, you were talking about it being near your home. I'm just curious as to what the mood is like there tonight. Did you happen to go outside to see what was happening nearby or near where this took place?
Yeah, I mean, I walked up to the corner and was able to see right down to the compound that was hit. And, you know, before the sunset, you could certainly see, you know, more than 15, you know, police and security cars, ambulances, helicopters flying overhead really just in the last 5 minutes. So it's still an active zone. People in the neighborhood are quite concerned about what to do. You know, this is not a city and a place that is used to this kind of an attack and this kind of conflict. Certainly, Qatar is used to being part of the negotiations, but not really having active conflict here. And so this is a really new, scary phase for people here in Qatar.
Andrew, thank you. Andrew Mills of Reuters
Look how pretty it was. Or is. I guess was now in terms of the neighborhood that just got bombed. Lenny. Minty. Who else snuck in here on me? Tier 2. Welcome in, friends. Just another day in War Crime USA. Here's Lindsey Graham to defend it.
Netanyahu a short time ago?
Yeah, I talked to him. So anyway, it was an Israeli operation, but clearly Hamas rejected.
Clearly.
Did not meet the deadline, and this organization suffered a mighty blow today to the Palestinian people.
Okay, wow. One that didn't happen. Apparently nobody from Hamas was killed. I don't know what deadline he's talking about.
New chapter for you begins the day Hamas either lays down their weapons or destroyed. The sooner that day happens, the better we'll all be. Hezbollah, you're on my mind. To the people of Lebanon, you have a new government, a lot of opportunity, but Hezbollah needs to disarm, and the heavy weapons need to be in the hands of the Lebanese military, not militias. So we have a chance by the end of this year to destroy through either negotiation or military operation two of the great proxies of Iran. I've never been more hopeful that Iran's ability to disrupt the Mideast is fading and is in dramatic decline.
And Senator, how does this play into Gaza right now? I know
there is no answer to Gaza until Hamas disarms and
oh my God,
defeated militarily, and that needs to happen by the end of this year. I told the Israelis, wrap this up one way or the other. If we can get Hamas to, lay down their weapons and leave and start a new.
I hate this man.
Future with the Palestinians.
Oregon gal, welcome in. Oh, you know he's so far in the closet. Oh my, this man. That's one of the things that infuriates me. Just come out of the closet, Lindsay, please.
Just go ahead and finish off Gaza City. Then let's start talking about a new horizon for the Palestinians and for the region.
What is your understanding about how much notice Israel gave to the U.S.?
I'll let the administration talk about that. They didn't tell me anything about that. All I can say is that when President Trump issued a warning, they should have heeded it. And the one thing about this operation, the people that were eliminated, I believe, were all either planned October 7th or cheered it on. And Israel's intent on taking out all the leadership that planned October the 7th and cheered it on.
Thank you, sir.
Senator.
Not the only. He shouldn't be allowed at a gay bar. Absolutely not. Like, gay bars don't care if you're in the closet either. You can come to a gay bar. It's very welcoming. Lindsey Graham would not be welcome at a gay bar. You can find belonging at a gay bar, I assure you. Not the only attack Israel launching today. They drone struck the flotilla.
Hi everyone, Yasmin here. The family boat has been officially attacked. A drone came right above it, released a bomb, and it exploded, and the boat was on fire.
A boat carrying climate activist Greta Thunberg has reportedly been hit with a drone strike, according to crew. The family boat, carrying the 22-year-old Swede and 350 activists and aid workers, was struck off the coast of North Africa, setting the vessel ablaze. Footage shared to social media by the global Samud flotilla shows the moment of impact. The family boat's passengers and crew, sailing under the Portuguese flag, are safe.
Everyone on that boat is okay. The fire is out. But I want to tell you that this boat was the boat that
That was a warning shot.
From the Madeleine, the old Madeleine crew was on, which is Greta, me, Tiago, Schweib, and so many more amazing people.
A statement by the GSF was shared by Ms. Thunberg on social media, confirming the attack. Greta and a crew of 20 boats left Barcelona on September 2nd en route to Gaza in pursuit of humanitarian efforts amid the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas.
The question here today is not why we are sailing. This story is not at all about the mission that we are about to embark. The story here is about Palestine. The story here is how people are being deliberately deprived of the very basic means to survive.
This follows a previous attempt from Greta to deliver aid via ship to Gaza in June 2025. 12 activists on board the sailboat Madeleine were intercepted by Israeli forces 185 kilometers west of Gaza.
Calm down. Calm down, everyone. Calm down.
And what they're doing is symbolic, right?
Everything's gonna be alright.
They're attempting to bring attention to the blockade in order to break it.
Ms. Thunberg and crew's latest attempt to break the Israeli aid blockade by the GSF is expected to reach its destination in mid-September. The drone strike follows the European Union saying on September 8th that it doesn't encourage aid flotillas heading to Gaza.
We don't encourage flotillas like this because basically they can escalate the situation and they also put their participants
Israel
at risk. The best way how to deliver the
can
humanitarian
escalate the situation
via our partners. This is what
they do have actual aid with them
to achieve. To deliver the humanitarian aid in a larger scale, and we keep the channels with Israel open, and we talk to Israeli authorities.
But it's not like they have enough to feed everybody in Gaza. Their job is to try to bring media attention to the blockade and to break the blockade. We have a winner in Virginia in the 11th District Special Section special election. Ooh, we have a live video here we can take. Oh shit! Here is his victory speech. James Walkinshaw will be the new congressman from Virginia's 11th district. He is going to be replacing Jerry Connolly. He's the one that beat AOC for the job of oversight chair that was dying of cancer. This is the victory speech for James Walkinshaw.
Let me just say that Congress is getting more than just a vote here from James. Congress is getting a person who...
This is James. I'm sorry. They're still doing introductions here. I thought I got to the introduction.
Congress
or got past the introduction.
For the 11th Congressional District. Someone who knows how to play offense and defense. Someone who knows how to have a strategy to get things done.
This is one of the two special elections that's going to give Democrats the votes to be able to...
And I can tell you, I know this firsthand, having had the privilege of working side by side with James.
Approve the discharge petition.
And my colleagues know this as well.
By the end of the month.
Braddock District know this as well, right? People of Braddock District? Congress is getting a fighter who's ready to go on day one. And someone who is ready to continue the legacy of service that Jerry has built.
Abigail Spanberger, leaving Congress, running for governor of Virginia. That's going to be an interesting race that we're going to be watching this fall.
We need this more now than ever, don't we? Yeah. And so the country is watching Fairfax County tonight.
We're 2 months away. We're 2 months away from the Virginia special election. With batshit crazy Winsome Sears,
that we are sending to
the current
James Walkinshaw,
Lieutenant Governor of the state of Virginia. She is a riot.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I am honored and deeply humbled.
So this is definitely a race we're going to start watching here in the next month or so.
Overwhelming victory and a record-setting turnout and margin. Tonight, Northern Virginians have sent a very powerful message.
Politically already bored by the newest member of Congress.
That must come to an end. And I have so many people to thank, and I'm going to try to get through it here.
Congress is getting ready to change drastically. A lot of members leaving and going for higher office.
Support and patience throughout this journey. To Smitty, Caitlin, and Mark.
This is one of the Democrats that will be replacing a Democrat who died in office.
A round of applause, please. To our incredible late Congressman Jerry Connolly, thank you for your mentorship, your vision, and for showing me and all of us.
Crick's wanting to do some sexual anarchy tonight.
I know that he is very proud of what we all
You live in sexual anarchy?
Our campaign team, led by Donald Brownlee and Pat, Aisha, Brian, Caleb, Ethan, and all of
Samson, welcome in. Goddamn, Curiouser is seeing 9 Inch Nails again tonight. She saw him on Saturday. She's seeing him again tonight. Anonymously, welcome in. Well, she asked me if, she's like, is the set going to change or is it going to be the same exact thing? And I'm like, they might switch out a song or two. So I looked at the set list for the last 6 or 7 shows, which they haven't played that many. And mainly they'll switch out Burn and do I'm Afraid of Americans. And she's like, well, Burn's one of my favorite songs, so they play it again, I won't be sad. Scarboni, welcome. You would never expect followers only from a guy with such a cool bandana. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the comment and the compliment on my bandana. Followers only is I'm greedy about the count. People want to get in here and they want to argue with me, so I'm going to make them follow me in order to do it. I'm not asking much. Does it follow these nuts? People like to argue, and I'm baiting them with a title that says, argue with me about politics now. It's just a simple follow. A succulent follow. Bulletproof. Welcome in, my friend. That's the thing that would have pissed me off. Like, oh, you gotta wait 10 minutes to chat. No, I'd never do that. I want to hear from you fuckers. Drew Fat Stacks. You want to properly get it in your... So, allow me to demonstrate. Ooh, you want me to demonstrate with the bong. So, holding it in longer does not get you any higher. You are correct. But you want to take a good deep hit so that it allows your lungs to be able to absorb it. So you are going to want to inhale. But you don't have to hold it in forever. So let me give a good demonstration on what a proper hit looks like. This is going to be good for a YouTube video later. I'm not arguing. I'm thinking that this will be a good demonstration for somebody. Maybe you have never smoked pot before, and you've never smoked any other. If you've not vaped, if you've not smoked, then maybe you don't know how to properly inhale. So if you're smoking a cigar, you're not going to inhale. You're kind of just puffing it in your mouth and not breathing it down into your lungs. If you're smoking a cigarette, you're breathing it down into your lungs. If you're smoking weed, in order to get the full effect, you'll still get a contact high. That's a lot of people say they don't get high when they first start smoking. There's two different things for that. They might not be properly inhaling because they don't know how yet. Or there's something with your brain chemicals that like they may not activate the first time they get the THC, and it might take a couple times to really... Or it's possible you're smoking oregano that you got ripped the fuck off. I just cleaned it, actually. This is about a month of bong rips that you were seeing. And I just replaced the water yesterday. I don't play World of Warcraft. I play Final Fantasy. I'm a big fan. I am a first-person action-adventure RPG kind of guy. I like a God of War, Red Dead, that sort of thing. I like something with a good, meaty story to it. I can't Prey. The video, and apparently it's a remake. I didn't even know it was a remake. Prey that came out like 2016, 2017. That's a great fucking game. Meaty NPC titties. Let's slap those titties.
A titty slap! Give me those titties,
Come on now.
All right, so a proper hit, and I might cough. I'll leave the microphone on. Usually I turn my coughs off. I might cough. So, I mean, if I wanted this spotless every time I smoked, I'd be cleaning it a lot. I loved The Witcher 3. Witcher 3 might be one of my favorite games of all time. Top 5 greatest games of all time. Now, I heard it was buggy when it first came out. I played it like 2 or 3 years later after they patched it up. Fantastic time. It took great care with its side quests and its extra, like, side quests were meaningful. Some of the side quests were better than the main story. Anyway, we're gonna bullshit here in a little bit. Let's get back to the news so we can bullshit. Let's talk about RFK Jr. My video about not taking RFK Jr. seriously, getting some traction on the YouTube and TikTok.
The Trump administration has released its blueprint for fighting childhood chronic disease. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. called the effort unprecedented this afternoon.
There's never been an effort like this across all the government agencies. We had historical, unprecedented cooperation among my agency, HHS, with Marty McGarry and Jay Bhattacharya, all working hand in glove with each other. All of us are aligned. All of us are balancing complex issues with many, many diverse stakeholders. We're looking at economic impacts and health impacts and environmental impacts, and we're trying to make a policy that is going to work.
CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder joining us now for more on this. So, Dr. Gounder, let's begin with the big picture. And what are your takeaways from this report?
Dr. Gander?
Well, first of all, multiple things can be true. So first, it correctly flags the real drivers of poor health among children. That includes ultra-processed foods, harmful chemicals, and chronic stress. We've needed stronger nutrition science, better school meals, and honest labeling for years. Second, the report leans heavily on conspiracy theory talking points, including vaccine injury, fluoride, even electromagnetic radiation, without any clear plans or funding. And then third, it talks a lot about root causes while proposing to loosen some environmental and food safety rules. And you can't protect kids' health while weakening protections for air, water, and food. So big picture, the report is big on studies and voluntary industry moves, but pretty light on specifics and funding.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Vaccine injury. What does the evidence actually show?
So vaccines have prevented millions of deaths. That is not in dispute. There are real adverse events like anaphylaxis, a severe allergic reaction, or rarely myocarditis, inflammation of the heart muscle after mRNA COVID shots among young, healthy males. But these are very uncommon, and they have been closely monitored by the FDA and the CDC. VAERS, so VAERS is the database at the CDC where they compile reports. Those reports are a signal to investigate. I could submit a report right now and say the COVID vaccine gave me purple hair. That does not make it true, but it is a signal that these need to be looked into.
It could be a fun side effect, though.
Major medical reviews have already been conducted by respected scientific institutions. The Institute of Medicine, American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, and others have found no links between vaccines and autism. Finally, changing the childhood schedule for vaccinations without evidence risks outbreaks of measles and other serious childhood vaccine preventable diseases.
So there's also a new push in this report on autism. So is this effort helpful or harmful from your perspective?
Yeah, look, I mean, it depends on how it's done. We have long thought, those of us in the medical community, that autism is something that needs to be better studied. The NIH is exploring a real world data platform where they're linking claims, medical claims, electronic health records, and other.
To be clear, Autism Speaks is a horrible organization.
That will be a complement to other kinds of research. On its own, cannot yield the cause of autism or causes likely of autism.
Yeah, Ducky, can you give us...
And it's also important that this kind of research be done with the appropriate safeguards.
Like some orgs that are reputable?
Not just retrofitting the science to fit a preconceived narrative. Autism groups are also worried that rhetoric around the causes could further stigmatize autistic people and divert funds from higher yield research, as well as community-based services that could actually help families now.
Dr. Celine.
Autism Speaks is kind of like the Susan G. Komen. It's like a corporate liberal, doesn't really do charity thing. And also they look at autism as if it's something that needs a cure. And I feel like that's pretty insulting to autistic people that I know, but I also don't want to speak for them. If anybody in the chat would like to clarify that more, I would be more than welcoming of it. Doctors for America's pediatricians drop the hammer. That's what Forbes titled this. Fucking YouTube clickbait. drops the hammer on RFK over his untruthful comments.
Doctors for America represents over 40,000 physicians across the country. Dr. Kessel is a pediatrician, researcher, and professor of pediatrics at the Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth College. Dr. Kessel.
Thank you, Senator Sanders, and thank you particularly for being an incredible advocate for our children, for America's children. I'm happy to be here with my colleagues, not because of the issue, but because of all of you standing for something that's critically important that has saved lives. I've been a pediatrician for over 5 decades, caring for children, supporting families through some of the most cherished events and some of the most difficult events. I'm here representing 40,000 colleagues, and with my colleagues behind me and in front of me and here in the room, it's an extraordinary number of clinicians standing up to put patients over politics, caring for real people, not political agendas, saving lives through preventive care, particularly vaccines. As a pediatrician for 50 years,
Thank you for summing that up,
we don't see
Babylon.
most of these diseases. It's a rare event. Most of the young people who we make rounds with have never seen these conditions. You know, all of us have taken an oath to stand firmly on what's in the best interests of our patients for evidence-based medicine, scientifically based medicine. And most importantly, we've taken an oath to secure the health and well-being of our children. We've treated children with whooping cough, gasping for air, toddlers with pneumonia, adolescents with COVID-19, and families devastated now by measles. Measles, something which we virtually eradicated. Children and families are struggling and suffering from. We know firsthand the fear and anxiety shown in the eyes of children when they're struggling, when they're ill. And we're seeing
It says Senator Bernie Sanders holds a press briefing to highlight efficacy of vaccines.
there's more illness, more hospitalizations, more family burden, lost days of work, struggling to care for children who have a condition.
Trix, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Let me ask you guys a question. People that are in the stream with me right now, regulars especially. What would you think about me changing it to where it looked like this? So that you see the entire screen, there's no obstruction from the chat. I like it better, bigger. But it would help me tremendously with making TikTok content if I did the live stream like that. Okay, you guys all like that? All right, well, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it tonight. But we will redo the layout because I'll need to do something like that. Doesn't work for me. But putting a border around it, fucking with where it's at in 3D space. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with my normal layout tonight. And then I will work on it probably for like Sunday and have a new look about it. Because I like this better. I like it being bigger, but it does help me with making other content out of my content. And if you guys all think it looks better, you like it better, I'm down with it.
That we could prevent
whatever makes the stream more accessible.
Immunized. And tragically, we're seeing preventable deaths. An anathema as a health professional, as an anathema as a pediatrician in all of this. You know, sitting in this room and the folks behind me, we're also parents, we're grandparents, and we're Americans. We are truly outraged by the untruthful.
I'll make a little border and put a troll head on it or something.
By Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Make it look
They
neat.
are dangerous. And as you've heard over and over and over again, vaccines save lives. They prevent suffering. They're safe. They're not political tools. In fact, in many ways, they've been some of the most amazing scientific discoveries.
I totally get it, and I'm glad I asked you guys for
Our
feedback.
efforts in caring for people, they're proven, they're well developed. Frankly, RFK's actions are creating confusion, eroding trust.
Yeah, RFK is stupid.
Undermining.
I agree. I'm thinking of different ways to change things. Like, I don't even know that the Troll Patrol, it's been 5.5 years. Maybe I've outgrown the name Troll Patrol, and maybe something else would serve me better. I've watched some like YouTube videos about like, oh, how to grow as a streamer, how to grow as a YouTuber. And it's focusing on Troll Patrol instead of JustinFREAKIN is actually to my detriment. The COVID booster is not available yet. Did they not have... Okay, Lenny, did they not have it because of political reasons that the administration has cut off access to it? Or it's just not ready yet? Avalon got a COVID booster on Friday. Because it would seem like now is the time... You would think in your state it would be readily available if you wanted it. Huh. That's interesting. Let's talk about Laura Loomer. MSNBC apparently had some comedian on to do a bit about Laura Loomer. So let's give it a watch.
A woman who said the White House would smell like curry if Kamala Harris won, who has insisted for years that 9/11 was an inside job and who described herself as a, quote, proud Islamophobe, is now apprised of scheduled top secret briefings and apparently holds veto power over who gets access to classified briefings. We're talking about Trump associate Laura Loomer. This week, Senator Mark Warner said he was blocked from a scheduled oversight meeting at a spy agency after interference from the far-right activist. Loomer doesn't hold any official position at the White House, but has appointed herself as the de facto defender of all things Trump. Here's what Warner had to say this morning to our colleague, Ali Velshi.
We have got individuals. In my case, it was the crazy lady, Laura Loomer, 9/11 denier, hater of Muslims, hang out with white nationalists, who was so crazy that the Trumps wouldn't even hire her. Yet she has had the most influence in national security. She came after me the last week, which is fine, but she was able to preclude me from doing my normal of the course oversight.
Joining us now, Evan McMorris Santoro, national politics reporter for Notice, and Josh Gundelman, an Emmy-winning writer and comedian who has a new special.
Wait, isn't that the dude from REM?
That you can watch on YouTube right now. We all need some positive reinforcement.
This one goes out to. I'm saying no to this orgy couch.
Evan, so what do you make of Senator Warner calling
Never mind. Yeah.
de facto Secretary?
Actually, now that I think about it, this probably be a really good orgy couch.
Warner thing specifically.
Never mind, I'm in.
Where if you were a person that stopped a senior senator from doing his oversight duties, other senior senators would step in and defend that.
Well,
right?
and they also would cut off your agency's funding.
That's right. I mean, this is a huge sort of place where the two branches are supposed to meet up. Warner seems to be out there all on his own, which speaks to the power of Laura Loomer, right? Like when she does things, other people in MAGA world, other people in Trump's orbit and the Republican Party, they kind of all shake and back away. They don't want to get involved. But this is a real instance where you're seeing a senior, very powerful, important U.S. senator trying to do the job that they're supposed to do, not being able to do it because of Laura Loomer. And that is.
We don't watch a lot of MSNBC. It seems we've watched it more during the Trump administration because seeing their reaction is sometimes interesting. Because, like, we did not watch it at all during Biden. So pretty much the entire existence of the Troll Patrol, we've just ignored MSNBC. It's like that dude brought up Rachel Maddow, and I'm like, who pays attention to Rachel Maddow? I liked Rachel Maddow in 2006 when I was listening to her on Air America, and she gave out a new cocktail recipe at the end of every show.
It speaks a lot.
She's getting ready to go back into the bush like Homer.
This president, operates in this moment.
So
right?
why aren't they just like letting her get a job in the administration then? Like, why does she?
She kind of looks like Oprah.
Sort of on the outside.
Well, I think she's more valuable to them outside, right? I mean, last time I was here, we talked a bit about her before, and I mentioned that in our reporting we have found that White House people people in the president's orbit will tell you, hey. Loomer's about to do this to somebody. Loomer's about to do
everybody looks uncomfortable on the couch.
It's a powerful action for them.
What is that power that she has?
Kind of how it is before
besides
you get started with the orgy
on the internet, and who has demonstrated that she's going to go to the bottom of a garbage.
I was just thinking he was a bottom.
Whoever she wants, like the way she has with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I have no love for. What power does she actually have? Why do people listen to her? Why do people care about Laura Loomer out of all of the voices that exist in the world?
Oh, this is a great question, because it is really terrifying, right? Like you said, de facto Secretary of War, and Laura Loomer acting as the head of a cabinet department is like makes me feel about as safe as Ghislaine Maxwell acting as a babysitter at this point. So, like, it is really scary, right? Like that she's doing this, and although I do think this action preventing Senator Warner
did handcuff herself to Twitter.
That is an act that's about equality. Right? Like Laura Loomer displays no signs of intelligence, and she thinks no one else should have any either. And I think that's kind of beautiful that we're really bringing fairness to the White House. But it is terrifying how seriously people in that world take her. And I think it is because, like Evan was saying, that she can act kind of unconstrained and
Cicero, good evening, friend.
The Republican Party in the shadows.
Well, congressional Democrats are just going to look so weak if they do not raise.
I gotta know what she's wearing.
About cutting off the money for the agency.
Like, is she part of some religious cult that makes them wear something like this? The bus shot looked fine. Like, it looks like a normal turtleneck. But here it looks like a religious fanatic cult attire.
Oh, I mean, but they should.
A turtleneck snuggie.
The government, right? I mean, we were talking about this earlier in the program,
Exactly,
and if Democrats are looking for a reason to shut down the government, they should be pointing to this example and again saying, if you're going to outsource decision making to Laura Loomer, you're not going to get any funding.
I've just been catty the whole time talking about how they look.
Mean that he deserves access and to this oversight in order to do his job as the constituents who elected him expected. Yeah. You got to stop funding the agency. Truman during World War II.
What were we even talking about?
Not have taken that.
Well, this gets back to that thing we talked about at the beginning of this. I talked to Catherine Cortez Masto recently, the senator from Nevada, and this is a person who wants to sort of be a moderate Democrat, work together with people. What really surprises her right now is how the whole Senate does not operate as a unit in moments like this, right? Like when the executive branch is overstepping its authority, the expectation of the Senate and the rest of the Congress is going to get information, right? Because Democrats don't really have any real power to do much of anything beyond kind of be in this co-equal branch and expect help from their fellow members of that branch. And they're not getting it right now. So I think the real challenge, right, when you talk
and it's not going to come,
is
Republicans want to
get out of this,
overthrow democracy.
Figure out what it is to get before they can actually go ahead with this fight, right? Because I mean, it's a very valuable fight to
Are
have.
any Republicans at all saying, like, what the heck is going on with this lady? I mean, even people who have nothing to lose, technically, like Senator Tom Tillis, like.
That may be my favorite Beyonce song.
Somebody.
You know, this is one of those private-public things, right? In private, even people in the MAGA world will say, I don't know about this person, right? We're not thrilled with this. You see plenty of reports from inside the White House being like, this is it. She's gone. Recently, there was a big story about, like, she's out. It's over. And then we see this Warner story a couple days later. There's a huge tug and pull on whether or not how much power they want to give her. But right now,
I'm sure she's giving some tugs.
Who is Donald Trump? And so as long as that happens, it doesn't really matter what anybody else says.
I'm with you, though. It does feel like there must be someone on the Republican side going, I can't believe this unelected advisor to the president, who is so Islamophobic, so racist, so conspiracy-minded, is having such a say in public policy making and decisions.
Because why can you not believe it?
Oh, dark. You laugh, but it's a little dark.
It's actually a little true, though. So that's the problem.
Let's switch a little bit just because if Donald Trump and congressional Republicans thought that it was a bad week for them regarding the Epstein files and the lack of transparency and the chokehold on information, it's about to get a lot worse. We just had Congressman Garcia on about oversight, and they are going to get the birthday book that was Epstein's 50th birthday book, likely as soon as tomorrow. So it's
we did.
A bad week, a lot of pressure on Epstein. How do you
We got the birthday book.
responding when the temperatures are going to get really turned up and it's an issue that their base cares about?
It seems like Mike Johnson floated a new theory, right, that Donald Trump was an FBI informant the whole time, and this is the deepest cover any informant has ever been under.
He's a hero.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, Mike Johnson basically was like, QAnon is real. That's the official stance of the House of Representatives.
Right. He wore that hot mic to bust Billy Bush on that bus.
That's right. There's dimensions of chess that the human mind. We don't even have numbers that high for those dimensions of chess.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, look, the Epstein thing is really fascinating because as of the end of last week, it looked like the administration was doing a pretty good job. You know, you have this effort by Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie to push the Congress to release all these files and do this stuff. And it appeared that actually the Trump administration had really successfully pushed back on it and made this kind of a Democrats thing, right? Originally, this was like, is this splitting Trump's base? Are they fighting amongst themselves? And that kind of went away. But now you talk about things like this birthday book. The first time that landed, the description of it was bad enough. But if we see it, it's going to be very, very difficult.
The fact that the titties were way smaller.
When you see the picture that Trump drew of the naked lady.
Oh, I mean, it's horrifying, right? There are real people who were hurt, and this is...
Because it looks like a prepubescent kid.
Collaboratively with this horrible person, and like, you know that you're a pretty bad criminal when your birthday cards are incriminating. Like, that's wild stuff to me. Keep it out of the birthday cards.
Swear, keep it clean.
Even Al Capone's birthday cards are just like, happy birthday, Al, love you, big guy.
I don't doodle for a reason, and that's what we're doing.
It's interesting, though, to see the...
wow. I don't think we learned anything from that, so... Let's learn something. Let's talk about the less salacious part of the Epstein case, but the probably the more interesting part, and the real reason why we'll never get the names. The financial aspect.
This is Democracy Now! Democracy
Take it away, Amy.
The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The House Oversight Committee has released more documents from the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's estate, including a birthday book given to him by friends. The book includes a sexually suggestive note and sketch of a naked woman that appears to be signed by Donald Trump.
That's the real one. Because a few months ago when we got the description, I downloaded what was an artist rendition of what they thought it would look like based on the description. And I was like, yeah, it totally looks like this. But here's the problem. The artist rendition is of a come on, Mr. Picture. The artist rendition is of a adult woman. The real thing is totally like the chest of a child. We didn't get depraved enough.
In the text, Trump says, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey." It concludes with Trump writing, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret," unquote. The White House has denied the letter was created by Trump, but the New York Times has revealed Trump's signature is very similar to his signature on other documents from that period.
Very similar.
A second page of the birthday book featured an image of Epstein holding a large check. Democratic lawmakers said the photo showed Epstein and a longtime Mar-a-Lago member joking about selling a, quote, fully depreciated, quote unquote, woman to Donald Trump for $22,500. As pressure grows on the Trump administration to release the full Epstein files, we turn to look at how the country's largest bank, J.P. Morgan, enabled Epstein's sex trafficking operation and profited from its ties to Jeffrey Epstein. On Monday, the New York Times published a major expose on J.P. Morgan.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Epstein. It's based on more than 13,000 pages of legal and financial records. According to the Times, J.P. Morgan processed more than 4,700 transactions, totaling more than $1.1 billion for Epstein, including
holy shit,
the women who were sexually trafficked. We're joined now by David Enrich, deputy investigator.
Great, welcome in.
For the New York Times. He co-wrote the piece headlined "How J.P. Morgan Enabled the Crimes of Jeffrey Epstein." David, welcome back to Democracy Now! Why don't
this is the juicy details that we really want.
J.P. Morgan enable the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, for many years, J.P. Morgan was basically the primary bank serving Epstein. And in the course of the 15 years that it worked with him, it did a number of things. And first and foremost, it set up accounts for not only him and his companies, but also quite a few of his victims who had been trafficked into the United States, and it arranged for Epstein to be able to pay those victims both in the U.S. and in Eastern European countries and in Russia. The bank lent him money that was associated for projects associated with sex trafficking. It, in some cases, just paid him cash, millions of dollars of it over the years to thank him for some of the services he had provided the bank. And over again, when people within the bank raised red flags about how much cash Epstein was withdrawing and some of the suspicious wire transfers he was doing, people higher up at the bank essentially looked the other way because they wanted to keep this guy as a lucrative client. And so basically Epstein's sex trafficking operation, we now know, operated in large part because he had unfettered access to the global financial system. And for many years, it was J.P. Morgan that was providing him with that access.
Take us through the timeline. And David Enrich, what about other banks? Did Jeffrey Epstein try to bank with other banks? I mean, this perhaps the most prestigious, the largest bank in the United States, but wasn't he turned away?
How many Treasury secretaries came from J.P. Morgan?
Well, there's some question about who turned him away and when. And certainly we know that in 2013, after J.P. Morgan, after years of internal pressure, finally parted ways with him, he went right on to another bank, the German lender.
Well, some are Goldman Sachs, correct?
You may recall, was the bank that was willing to do business with Donald Trump, among others. But the history of J.P. Morgan and Jeffrey Epstein starts in the late 1990s, and Epstein at the time was a very wealthy but kind of mysterious guy. The bank itself, in documents that we've reviewed, didn't have a whole lot of information on where his money was coming from, who he was working for, or why he was important. All they knew is that he was parking a ton of money at the bank and generating millions of dollars a year in fees. And over the ensuing years, Epstein's role inside the bank became more and more important, and it involved not just doing business that made money for the bank, but he introduced the bank to a lot of potential clients, to government leaders like Benjamin Netanyahu, and advised.
Oh, really? Netanyahu?
Initiatives, and provide them kind of with troubleshooting advice along the way.
Would have never imagined.
Really indispensable part of the bank, and an indispensable partner, I think, to some of the bank's very highest-ranking executives.
Now, if you could talk about the significance of this. In fact, it was 2 Israeli prime ministers, Benjamin Netanyahu, that he brought to the bank, as well as Ehud Barak.
Yeah, so he...
Shocked, I tell you.
Laundry list of rich, powerful, famous people that Epstein counted among his acquaintances, and he was extremely adept at using those connections to ingratiate himself with lots of other people and institutions. JP Morgan was very eager to do business with him and to accept the introductions he was offering. And the relationship that Epstein had with JP Morgan was really important to Epstein because it hooked him into the global financial system and provided him with money. But I think to an equal degree, it also imbued him with legitimacy and credibility that was really important to him, especially after he was, first in 2006, indicted and arrested on sex trafficking related charges, and then in 2008 pleaded guilty and was then incarcerated on similar charges. And all the while, JP Morgan continued to bank him, and for years afterwards as well. And that was even though people within the bank, including at a pretty senior level, were aware that what Epstein had been accused of, what he had pled guilty to, and were concerned that there was a lot more going on here that hadn't.
No, you don't say.
They decided institutionally that the right thing to do was to continue working with him, primarily because he was making them a ton of money.
He also brought to the bank Sergey Brin, right, the founder of Google, who banked with them to the tune of something like $4 billion.
Yeah, and there, again, there's a long list of people that he made introductions to.
It's time for guillotine.
And the bank would say that, you know, they are one of the biggest, most prestigious banks in the world, and they don't have any trouble finding clients and on their own or talking to government leaders on their own. But there is no dispute that Epstein, at least with one of the very highest-ranking executives of the bank, was someone who the bank was turning to over and over again for advice, for counseling, for introductions, and most of all, for financial services. And so this is a long symbiotic relationship. And I think that the fact that this full story hasn't been told until now is really emblematic in some ways of how many mysteries continue to swirl around Jeffrey Epstein and his money, and how much more digging there is to do by everyone from journalists to congressional investigators who are, I think, belatedly getting really serious about this.
So, David Enrich, if you can explain, I don't know if everyone knows how banks work. What does it mean when there are red flags? What were those red flags? What was JP Morgan ignoring? When do they have to report to the feds about these red flags? And then we'll talk about Jess Staley and Jamie Dimon.
I'm assuming they had to report all kinds of transactions like that.
There was a range of red flags. The most obvious of them internally at the bank was that Epstein, he had hundreds of millions of dollars parked at the bank, but he was taking out so much money in cash on a regular basis that it was a real warning sign. And banks are kind of trained to be on the lookout for people that are regularly withdrawing huge sums of cash. And by huge sums, I mean, you know, tens of thousands of dollars virtually every month. And this drew attention within the bank. And yet when it got escalated to higher ups, people looked the other way. And the reason it draws attention is that cash is a common currency for criminals. And sure enough, what we now know is that almost identical amounts.
Dollar bill, y'all.
He was taking out amounts of money that were almost identical to what we now know he was paying to young women and girls as part of his sex trafficking operation. Another big red flag was that he was wiring money There were patterns of him wiring money to all over the world, including to banks and individuals in Eastern Europe and Russia that we now know. In fact, we knew to some degree at the time as well that this was part of what appeared to be a sex trafficking operation. And these are things that anti-money laundering experts and compliance officials within JP Morgan and within the banking industry in general,
they had to know.
Well-established red flags for possible criminal behavior. And sure enough, the bank's teams of anti-money laundering experts and compliance officials recognized this more or less in real time. And
absolutely
to the government, but did not take it seriously internally. And, they had discussions about these are suspicious things that are happening. We don't know exactly what he's using this money for, but these are red flags. And in many cases with other bank customers, we can see that when a bank customer gets accused of wrongdoing or is engaged in potentially suspicious transactions, the banks like JP Morgan will very quickly get rid of them as clients because it is not worth taking the legal or reputational risk
unless
business with them. And again,
unless their executives are fucking little kids with that client.
Did not happen in JP Morgan's case. And this was not just like one isolated incident. This was happening over and over again over a period of many years where people inside the bank repeatedly rang the alarm bells and then were just overridden by...
Seems like that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Compare what happened to Jeffrey Epstein to Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, and Wesley Snipes, the actor, was another JP Morgan client in 2006, and he was accused of tax fraud by the federal government, and almost instantaneously, and he had not been convicted of those charges, he had not admitted to those charges. Almost instantly, the bank kicked him out as a client, and this was almost exactly the same time that Epstein was initially indicted and arrested on for alleged sex crimes, and which is arguably more serious than a tax fraud allegation. And instead of swiftly kicking Epstein out of the bank the way they had done with Wesley Snipes, they had a fairly robust internal discussion that culminated in the bank deciding to keep him as a client with basically no strings attached.
We're talking.
The only way that happens is if the executives of that bank are fucking kids with that client.
To David Enrich, Deputy Investigations Editor for the New York Times.
Just pedos Morgan.
Major new expose he co-authored headlined How J.P. Morgan Enabled the Crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. A Times investigation found America's leading bank spent years supporting and profiting from the notorious sex offender, ignoring red flags, suspicious activity, and concerned executives, which takes us to the higher ups. If you can tell us about Jess Staley, once the leading contender to succeed Jamie Dimon as chief executive of JP Morgan, how he had an ongoing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein at the bank, outside the bank, with later head of Barclays in Britain. Just take us through that relationship and then his relationship and what he discussed with Jamie Dimon.
Yeah, and so the relationship between Jess Staley and Jeffrey Epstein was long and multifaceted and quite intimate, I think. And Staley was basically a lifetime JP Morgan employee until 2013. And he was the person who, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, developed a very close relationship with Epstein, who at the time was this kind of up-and-coming client at the bank. And the relationship started off, I think, just purely in financial terms. Staley was trying to get to know Epstein because he was an important client of the bank and could make important introductions to other potential clients for the bank. But over the years, it evolved into something much more than a traditional client relationship, I would say. And the Staley became, I think, a close friend of Epstein. When Epstein was incarcerated in Florida in 2008 and 2009, Staley went to visit him. Staley also visited a number of Epstein's properties, including when Epstein was not even there. And on at least one occasion, we know that Staley ended up having sex with a young woman whom he had met at Epstein's townhouse and who later alleged that Epstein had basically sex trafficked her. And all the while, inside JP Morgan, when these concerns would arise about the whether Jeffrey Epstein is involved in crimes and whether the bank is involved in facilitating or enabling those crimes. Over and over, we see Jess Staley, in some cases joined with other executives, but always Jess Staley going to bat for Epstein, trying to kind of damp down these internal concerns and to insist that this is someone the bank needed to continue doing business with. And he went to bat for Epstein over and over again, and it ranged from kind of interacting with low-level compliance officers to really senior people within the bank, like the general counsel of the bank, who had grave concerns about Epstein and was persuaded ultimately to not really take a stand and insist that he be fired from the bank. And I mean, I think one of the ongoing mysteries here is where JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, was in all of this. And Dimon he's been CEO for a long time. He is someone who likes to boast about his attention to detail. He is known as a bit of a micromanager who is really like on his subordinates, trying to know everything that's going on. And in this case, Dimon claims that he knew nothing about Epstein. He didn't even realize Epstein was a client, he says, until Epstein was arrested and jailed in 2019. And, that is, first of all, a little bit hard to square with Dimon's repeated insistences that he knows everything that's going on inside the bank, but also with the fact that Jess Staley, under oath, has said that he talked to Dimon on a number of occasions about Epstein's status as a client. And we also reviewed internal emails from the bank that appear to show with other employees of the bank mentioning the fact that Jamie Dimon is going to be involved in some of the decision-making around whether to keep Epstein as a client. And I don't know what the truth is here, but it seems like there's kind of a binary choice. Either Jamie Dimon knew about Jeffrey Epstein as a client and has been lying about that under oath and in other forums, or Jamie Dimon didn't know Jeffrey Epstein was a client and somehow was out of the loop on this really important client and on an issue that was really sowing great divisions among some of his top lieutenants at the bank. And, we talked to David Boies, the lawyer who has sued JP Morgan, among others, for its role in the Epstein saga. And he described both of those options. He said that neither of those options is good from Dimon's standpoint. And, I'm inclined to agree with that analysis.
And what happened to Staley went on to head Barclays, and what happened there in Britain?
Yeah, so after leaving JP Morgan, he became the CEO of Barclays, and he lasted in that role for several years until Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and charged and then committed suicide in jail. And a lot of questions began to emerge about what Staley had done for Epstein, both at JP Morgan and at Barclays. And an investigation later determined that Staley had been really dishonest with Barclays about the nature and duration of his relationship with Epstein. And so he was fired by the bank and later banned by British regulators from having a senior role in the UK financial services industry. So, and I think his career is pretty well done at this point. But, aside from losing his job, my understanding is that he walked away with a huge fortune that he derived in part over the years because he was proving such an effective advocate and such an effective manager of the Epstein relationship at JP Morgan.
The fallout of JP Morgan, you write in the New York Times, has been limited. In 2023, it paid $290 million to settle a lawsuit brought by roughly 200 of Epstein's victims, and an additional $75 million to resolve related litigation brought by the U.S. Virgin Islands, where many of Epstein's crimes took place, right? He owned 2 islands in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yeah, that's right. And that sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money in normal terms until you realize how much money JP Morgan earns. And in 2023, the year that they paid this roughly $300 million in settlement, they made profits of $50 billion with a B. So, and the payments they made to settle these lawsuits amounted to less than 1% of their profits that year. And so I think one of the things that my colleagues and I have heard over and over as we've been reporting this story is that punishments like this they are unlikely to have a major deterrent effect. And what is really to stop a scandal like this from happening in the future? And I don't know what the answer to that is, but certainly having to pay less than 1% of your annual profits as a penalty does not seem likely to have a huge impact on the behavior of bankers or corporate executives in the future.
And let me ask you, this latest news headline, and you may not be able to respond, the request by the Justice Department to a federal judge to reject NBC News' request to unseal the names of 2 Epstein associates who both received wire payments of what? Something like $100,000 and $200,000 from Epstein back in 2018. As part of his non-prosecution plea deal with federal prosecutors in Florida, Epstein helped ensure that his associates would not be prosecuted. Have you reported on this, or can you comment?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some reporting on it, and again, there are a lot of unanswered questions here. We do not know the associates to whom Epstein was paying these 6-figure sums in 2018. We do know, and he had left J.P. Morgan at that point and had become a customer of Deutsche Bank by then. So this is not as far as I know, it's not a J.P. Morgan issue. And I have no idea who those associates were. I mean, they could be his lawyers. They could be the guy the beneficiaries of his will. It could be women who he sex trafficked. All I know, looking at this, is that it is remarkable to me that the Trump administration, after rising to power in part based on its...
Okay, let's be clear. NBC News has to have a reason why they want those names to be unredacted. They know something. There's something juicy that goes with another story that they're working on. They know who those people are. They just need to be able to get the names redacted in order to run with it.
Assurance is that it would do everything in its power to provide transparency about the Epstein investigations, is, again, doing the exact opposite of that and fighting to keep stuff secret. And again, I don't know... Maybe there is a good explanation for why in these particular cases they are trying to keep this secret, but certainly it appears to be part of a pattern in which Trump and his allies are doing everything in their power to keep this stuff hidden from public view.
Thanks for watching.
There's no cover-up with Trump and his allies, like the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is not going to great lengths to help Trump cover up whatever the fuck is in the Epstein files.
He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
What I was referring to in that long conversation was what the victim's attorney said. More than a decade ago, President Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, and he was one of the only prominent people, as everyone has reported, not President Trump, but everybody about him, that he was willing to help law enforcement go after this guy who's a disgusting child abuser, sex trafficker, all the allegations. That's what they heard. So the president was helpful in that. I don't know if I use the right terminology, but that's common knowledge, and everybody knows that. So this is much ado about nothing.
Was he ever asked to wear a wire or anything like that?
I have no idea. No, I'm not saying that. I have no information about that whatsoever. I was repeating what has been common knowledge for a long time. The president was helpful in trying to get Epstein, for the law enforcement to go after Epstein. That's always been my understanding. That's common knowledge. It's the public's understanding. I was not breaking news there. Okay.
James O'Keefe sat down with Congressman Thomas Massie. I love that his new organization is called the O'Keefe Media Group, which is OMG. He's kind of funny.
Is it that Republicans fear Trump so much, but they agree with you privately? Are you just talking about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. I don't think my colleagues are happy about covering up for pedophiles, but that's what's happening. And it's so sick and twisted. The reason they're doing it is because they're terrified of President Trump's.
Sir, some of them have no qualms about covering up for pedophiles. Jim Jordan, for instance, is one of your colleagues on the House floor. We know he has a history of covering up for pedophiles. So, sorry, Thomas, I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit on that one.
That's it in a nutshell. I don't think my colleagues are happy about covering up for pedophiles, but that's what's happening. And it's so sick and twisted. The reason they're doing it is because they're terrified of President Trump's political machine. Not just his legislative affairs folks are reaching out from the White House to every Republican member of Congress who might think about co-sponsoring this. They're getting calls from the political machine that Donald Trump runs. We've got members of Congress who have aspirations of running for statewide office, and they can't win a statewide office in a Republican primary with Donald Trump on the other side. So they're terrified of him. With 3 big exceptions, 3 women have co-sponsored this resolution: Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace.
Why aren't they terrified of President Trump?
I think, number one, because they're women,
What do all 3 of them have in common? They can be my GOP mommies. Well, did you sign on to that discharge position there, Representative Anna Paulina Luna?
they feel obligated to take up for the women who've been abused.
James O'Keefe definitely has zero credibility. Hand sanitizer. Gay, you say? I'll show you gay, my friend.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm to give blowjob life. I want you inside of me.
Silent Smash, welcome in. I'm a little stinker. That's how you do journalism, by the way. Thank you, Democracy Now! I don't feel like talking about this tonight. Let's talk about UFOs. Let's do that. Speaking of my GOP mommies, Representative Anna Paulina Luna from Florida accuses the Department of Defense of being a major barrier to finding out about the UFOs.
Additionally, without any objection, the following members are waived onto the task.
I'm not high enough for this shit.
Questioning witnesses at today's hearing. Representative Biggs of Arizona, Representative
Her hair
of
looks
Alaska,
amazing.
Representative Ogles of Tennessee, Representative Titus of Nevada, and Representative Moskowitz of Florida. There are no objections. I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good morning and welcome to the hearing regarding UAP disclosures. For too long, the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomena, commonly known as UAPs, has been shrouded in secrecy, stigma, and in some cases, outright dismissal. Today, I want to state clearly that this is not science fiction or creating speculation. This is about national security, government accountability, and the American people's right to the truth.
Sigma balls.
I've spoken now to a number of whistleblowers from the military, to include the infamous Eglin Air Force Base incident that occurred when myself and former Representative Matt Gaetz, as well as Representative Burchett, followed up on a lead from multiple active duty Air Force pilot whistleblowers that alleged that the United States Air Force was covering up UAP activity at Eglin Air Force Base. We have heard from a number of whistleblowers, specifically military pilots, that the reason for not coming forward publicly is out of fear that speaking out would cost them their flight status and potentially their careers. This is unacceptable. We cannot protect our airspaces if our best trained observers are silenced. We cannot advance science if we refuse to ask questions. And we cannot maintain trust in government if we keep the American people in the dark. Now, Congress has tried to fix this problem. Congress tried to create formal channels through the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as AARO, and the Intelligence Community Inspector General for service members and officials to make disclosures. But the reality, the reports come in are often to brush aside, slow-walked, or met with skepticism rather than serious investigation. Recently, the former AERO director, known as Sean Kilpatrick, attacked our witnesses and members on this committee. It should be noted that he's a documented liar and brings into question what his purpose at AERO really was if it was not to follow up on investigations and disclose his findings to members of Congress. A former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, Chris Mellon, described a report published by AERO that found no evidence that any USG investigation, academic-sponsored research, or official review panel has confirmed any sighting of UAP-represented extraterrestrial technology. As the most error-ridden and unsatisfactory government report I can recall reading after decades of government service. Mellon further noted that this was a first error report submitted to Congress without the Director of National Intelligence's sign-off and seemingly excluded input from any scholars or experts who have studied or written extensively about this topic, as would normally be in any other case in this field. Mellon determined that this report failed to fulfill the congressional mandate under which it was required, omitted entire agencies with known investigations or activities related to UAPs, and omitted any discussion of efforts to hide classified or unclassified information about UAP. Such efforts were unaddressed by the report, despite the existence of agency records and investigations concurring with them, including those at U.S. Customs and Border Protection. If we set up offices and oversight bodies only to let them become graveyards for testimony, or worse yet, ruses for pretending to investigate when in actuality there was no follow-up, then we are not doing our jobs. In recent months, Congress has also been presented with evidence that points to technologies that, to our knowledge, are beyond our current capabilities. It is our duty as elected representatives to follow the facts wherever they lead and to ensure that those facts—
She said duty. She's boring the shit out of me, though. Let's get to the dudes that are talking about their actual UFO sightings. You guys tell me what you think. They're full of it. This guy's name is Chief Wiggum. I'm supposed to believe a Chief Wiggum? No, this is Alexandro Wiggins.
I now recognize Chief Wiggins for his opening statement. Please press your button. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member Crockett.
I'll press your button.
Members of the task force and the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Alexandro Wiggins. I'm an active duty U.S. Navy Operations Specialist, Senior Chief Petty Officer, father of 3, and dedicated American testifying today in my personal capacity. The views I share are my own, and I do not represent the official positions of the Department of the Navy or any subordinate organization. On the evening of February 15th, 2023, at approximately 19:15 PST, in the Whiskey 291 warning area off the coast of Southern California, I was serving on board USS Jackson. During that period, I moved between the Interior Communications Center, ICC-1, and the bridge wing, correlating the sensor picture with visual observations, part of my routine responsibilities for surface and air picture management. What I observed and what our crew recorded was not consistent with conventional aircraft or drones as they appear on our system. A self-luminous tic-tac shaped object emerged from the ocean before linking up with 3 other similar objects. The 4 then disappeared simultaneously with a high synchronized near—
We do have video.
I observed no sonic boom and no conventional propulsion signatures. No exhaust plume, no control surface articulation on the Sapphire image system. Shortly after the synchronized departure, radar tracks dropped. These observations were multi-sensor and recorded inside of ICC-1 with time location overlay visible in our source frames that have been made public by journalists. From my experience operating in this region over many years and consistent with our public characterized encounters, unidentified objects reoccur in United States operation areas off Southern California. That fact alone does not tell us what they are, but it does argue the systematic stigma-free reporting, and for the preservation of sensor data so analysts can evaluate safe and intelligence implications with rigor. I want to underscore 3 points for the task force and the committee.
Let's see the video they showed.
Mr. Burleson for about 5 minutes.
Also,
Thank you, everyone. It takes such great courage.
I now recognize Mr. Burleson for about 5
this
minutes.
Bobert looking dashing.
It takes such great courage to come forward, and we acknowledge that, and I hope that you see that we are taking that seriously. And so very thankful.
Oh my God, it's Bubbles
today. I'm also very thankful for previous witnesses that have come forward. I see Matthew Brown in the audience. He courageously stepped forward and was as a witness. I encourage everybody to look and seek his testimony. I want to thank the people that came.
Listen, clinically. If you can't beat them, join them. This is me hedging my bets here. I mean, the left's not looking too good in the fight. I'm still here, but the Bubbles glasses are killing me. Chester Bennington let himself go.
In our first
Toxic Wild Hog, welcome in.
David Grush, David Fravor. And in our second hearing, Admiral Gallaudet, Lou Elizondo, and Mr. Gold. And then
Admiral Gallaudet.
Forward. We hear you, and it's time that we, enough is enough. It's time that we take action. Look, I'm not jumped to the conclusion that I believe that there are, aliens coming from another planet. But I'm open to that. And I think that it's our responsibility, especially when we're seeing that we have a government that is actively blocking information from us. Just last night.
Listen, there's no fucking aliens. No, listen. I got to be perfectly clear with you. There is other life forms out there. There's no doubt about it. They exist. You got to take in the probability of planets that are in the habitable zone, yada, yada, yada. But we don't know of any life form that can survive long enough to make the trip that it would take just to get to a different galaxy. Beyond that, I mean, we're talking, because there's fucking multiverses out there, ever expanding. So that's where we're at. The argument is there a life form that could have possibly developed wormholes or being able to do some sort of hyperspace travel, and that's highly, highly unlikely. There are aliens, and we'll never meet them. Pretty much. Is there a possibility that a life form has developed that technology? But why would they come here?
Tried to get an amendment onto the National Defense Authorization Act that fit in the germaneness of that bill to have UAP disclosure. And conveniently, it was named non-germane, mostly deemed by staff, not even an elected.
Yeah, I think Globus agrees with me, I believe.
Repeatedly see. Last year, we were blocked by someone.
I feel like that's a hell of an endorsement.
Being able to receive a full briefing from Arrow. So not an elected official, but someone in staff blocked us. And I've had it. Enough is enough.
It's time for a change.
That I've been given. And as before it starts, I'm going to describe. This was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb off the coast of Yemen.
We can ponder it.
That another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone, and so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does.
Okay, here we go. Wait, they've already found out what it was, and it was a duck? Wait a minute, ducks don't fly.
This is when it zoomed out.
Oh.
Still see it traveling.
Don't fly that fast, I wouldn't assume.
So, Mr. Knapp, do you have you heard about...
This is the guy that looked like Jerry Springer.
...like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about...
Oh, he really does.
I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have...
One of our episodes? Is this motherfucker a podcaster? Does producer Dave watch this dude? You want to go back? You want to get another shot at it?
This is when it zoomed out. So you can still see it traveling. So, Mr. Knapp, do you have you heard about events like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild, and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
So
what flies like that?
Again, I'm not going to speculate what it is, but the question is, why are we being blocked from this information consistently? I want to ask this just question.
Deep state.
This is the document. I want to enter this in for the record if it hasn't already been entered, Madam Chair. The document that you provided on thread 3, this is a huge file. How in the world did you smuggle this out of Russia?
Carefully.
In your socks?
I don't think I want to be really specific about it because I might have to go back there and get some more sometime. Although, no, that'd be crazy to do that. Well, I took the top pages off that were stamped with a security signature, and I carried them out on my person. But the rest of them I just threw in my suitcase and threw some caviar in there as a distraction as well, and hoped for the best.
His ass. What's this dude laughing about? He got really tickled.
You reported James Lakatsky came to you with government possession of NHI craft and how they ultimately gained entry. Can you testify to the veracity of that claim?
Dr. Lakatsky is an honorable man who served most of his career with the DIA, a very trusted, high-level rocket scientist and intelligence analyst who inspired the OSAP program, as I said earlier. And in full disclosure, I've co-written 2 books with him. He dropped this on myself and our other co-author out of the blue. And it took 14 months for us to get DOPSR approval for him to release 2 sentences on that. He said this craft...
Clinically, he's like, I'm done with this clip.
Managed to get inside of it. It had no wings, no rotor, no tail. It had no fuel tanks. They didn't know how it flew or how it was operated. It clearly looked like it was aerodynamic, but he would not go further. He's a by-the-book guy, and until he gets clearance to say more about that...
Hey, this guy's freaking me out.
We're going to hear much more, but... It's not ours. It wasn't ours. We didn't make it. We didn't know who made it and how it was built and how it operated. We've got at least one, and I don't know. I think that's enough confirmation that we do have recovered discs and materials.
Leslie, Mr. Borland, in the classified realm, have you been exposed to undeniable confirmation of NHI technology? And then my second question is Base Systems involved in any way with reverse engineering exploitation of non-human intelligence craft?
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation this skip for that. Whether I'm legally even allowed to answer that, and whether you're even allowed to hear it, sir.
Again, you can sense our frustration. And so I just want to thank you for coming forward. We will continue to fight because, look, this is about making sure that this government belongs to the people and restoring the republic the way it was intended to be. Madam Chair, I also have further witnesses of courageous individuals. It was given to me by Dr. Stephen Greer, including Michael Herrera and his testimony. We have Roderick Castle and his testimony, Randy Anderson, his testimony, Stephen Digna, and others, 3 others, all saying similar things to what the witnesses today have said, and I would like to enter that into the record as well.
Digna. All right, we're going to do a little crime, and then I'm going to put a poll in the chat. I'm going to stick my poll in the chat, and you guys are going to vote on what we're going to watch after the stream. Do little crime stories. Nothing too horrific. Something really funny. Before we get to the crime stories, let's do this. This is pretty short. As I mentioned earlier, Trump was supposed to have a briefing, an announcement from the White House today at 4:20 p.m. Left the press just hanging there, and then eventually got the press pulled to mobilize and went to Joe's Seafood in Washington, D.C. There's something wrong with him.
Well, thank you.
The leg is really funky.
Take some of the members of the cabinet out to dinner to say, and here we are, we're standing right in the middle of D.C., which, as you know, about over the last year was a very unsafe place. Over the last 20 years, actually, was very unsafe, and now it's got virtually no crime. We call it crime-free. We're going to be announcing another city that we're going to very shortly. We're working it out. The governor of a certain state would love us to be there, and the mayor of a certain city in that same state would love us to be there. We'll announce it probably tomorrow, and it's going to be something where we'll do like we did here. But this city, here I am, standing out in the...
Yeah, I had stories about Chicago preparing for him.
4 months ago.
I decided to skip them.
A year ago. This was one of the most unsafe cities in the country. Now it's as safe as there is in the country. So we're here with cabinet members having dinner.
I think it's going to be over half the country.
The restaurants now are...
You got to remember, half the country didn't vote.
Thank you. The restaurants now...
You couldn't win the majority of the half that did.
Where they didn't go out for years, and it's a safe city, and I just want to thank the National Guard. We loved working with the mayor and the chief, and we all work together, and the outcome is really spectacular. We have a capital that's very, very safe right now.
Mr. President, about the speech about the Israeli strike earlier today.
Well, I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled about it.
You're not thrilled?
I don't have to do that. I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled.
I'm not so much worried about clinically fed posting. I'm worried about clinically getting like auto banned and not being able to be here with us anymore.
I'm never surprised by anything, especially when it comes to the Middle East. I'll be giving a full statement tomorrow, but I would tell you this, I was very unhappy.
I've asked him to kind of be a little more creative with the way he says things, but, you know, he's kicking authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Mr. President, when do you plan to speak to crewmen? I mean, you said soon. Is that going to happen this week?
Yeah, it'll happen. We have that one, and we have Gaza going on.
No, I think a Chud might be in here and report you, and then like you'll get zapped.
I think so. I think
that's the most likely scenario that I'm trying to protect you from.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time knows that's...
Oh, bullshit, not your signature.
And frankly, you're wasting your time. All you do is trying to get off the great successes. DC and about 200 other things we've done that are so successful. This is.
You might want to see a signature. Make up your own goddamn mind.
President in their first 8 months has had anywhere near the success that we've had.
So will you meet with the Epstein victims? Do you plan to meet with?
I don't know about, nobody suggested that.
But would you be open to doing that?
Certainly I don't like that whole situation with respect to anybody being abused or hurt, but I haven't even thought about that. Thank you all very much. Have a good time. Thank you.
What do you guys think? Is that like Joe's Crab Shack? Is that where he went? Joe's Seafood Restaurant. It's just like the main Joe's Crab Shack, isn't it? What do you think he got? What does Donald Trump order at the seafood restaurant? I didn't think seafood was up his alley. But then again, they probably got burgers at the seafood restaurant. Yeah, that was my guess. He got a burger. And nothing wrong with burgers. I get burgers a lot. But if I'm going to a seafood restaurant, I'm not getting a burger. Ooh, I would love to have some lobster, some crab, both. I would like some kind of a platter that has like a fried whitefish of some sort. Oh, wait a minute, that's it's Long John Silver's, isn't it? Some chicken breast. Ooh, I would totally get surf and turf. That's what I would get. Steak and lobster. Sounds amazing. So we're going to L.A. One kind of serious crime story, and then I think the rest are pretty, some laughable, I guess. You guys are going to love the cop that was dangling for his life. Probably not, because I don't think he died, so you're probably not going to be too happy with it. But 2 bodies were found in 2 different cars at 2 different tow yards in L.A. One of them belonged to a singer by the name of David.
And we begin here at 4 with 2 people found dead inside of 2 cars at 2 different tow yards. Thank you so much for being with us, everybody. I'm Michael Brownlee.
And I'm Colleen Williams. NBC4 Investigates was first to report the discovery of a body inside a Tesla that we now know that car belonged to the singer David.
And today we are learning new details. Our investigative reporter Eric Linder joins us live from our newsroom with this breaking update. Eric.
David with a 4.
Homicide detectives on this case now say they believe the person found inside the front trunk of that Tesla yesterday was a woman. But they say it's still too soon to say for certain if she was the victim of a murder. That said, our contacts tell us there are sinister signs this was a crime, but one that could be more than a month old. This was the scene yesterday as detectives and criminalists examined the human remains discovered inside that black Tesla. Several law enforcement contacts tell us they believe the dead person was a woman and her body was wrapped in a unique container, all of which weighs into the investigators' beliefs that she was likely the victim of a crime. The conditions of those remains were extremely decomposed, which is making identification and the
I mean, you kind of assume, but she could have been playing hide and go seek and got locked in the trunk.
Investigation more difficult. Today,
could have been cleaning it and accidentally, there are freak accidents
on the border between L.A., West Hollywood, and Beverly Hills.
I guess I still misspelled David.
People working in the area told me the car had been there for at least a month. City records showed the black Tesla with Texas license plates got a ticket only once on September.
It was a Tesla, clinically.
For being parked in the same space for more than 72 hours. It wasn't towed until last Friday. The remains were found yesterday when workers at that tow yard said they noticed the odor of decomposition. Now, the Tesla is registered to that pop singer who goes by David, spelled D4VD. A rep for the performer said he's out on tour and is out of state.
Oh, no, this was L.A.
With police. I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.
All right, and Eric, police in South LA are trying to figure out how a body ended up inside.
Yeah, they probably didn't leave it off. It's probably like controlled by your app on your phone or some shit.
A burned car at another tow yard. News Chart before flew
and
over
can lock without you
at about 1 o'clock this afternoon.
doing anything.
The remains were discovered inside of this burned Honda Civic at Al's Towing. It's unclear how the person died and why the car was towed. NBC4's Amber Frias is on her way to that tow yard, and we'll have a live update coming up.
Singer's car, but not the singer dead. So I would assume he might be involved in it. Maybe the car was stolen. We don't exactly know. Let's not jump to conclusions on David. He might be completely innocent. This happened in Texas. Lubbock. Some good Samaritans came onto the scene and stopped us from having a good cop.
Heart-stopping rescue.
We need this now. Not yet, interstate. We need this now.
A sheriff's deputy in Lubbock, Texas, seen here dangling off a highway overpass as a group of good Samaritans rush in to help.
Heard a crash. Someone had hit that cruiser and pinned those two guys up against the wall.
The sheriff's department says,
guys, did you see his mustache? Beautiful. Beautiful.
The sheriff's department says the two deputies were outside their parked patrol cars helping a driver when a semi-truck crashed into one of their cars, pinning the deputies against the guardrail. Witnesses at a nearby gas station ran over, officials say, appearing to use rope and ladders to hoist the deputy to safety.
We got our ladder.
Oh, I bet it broke his leg.
The sheriff's department writing in a statement, "Thank you, Lubbock citizens, for watching over our deputies." All those involved are expected to recover, officials say, as tonight the crash remains under investigation. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News.
We thank you for.
Oh, shut up, Tom Llama.
On breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
Do it again.
Not yet, interstate. We need this now.
A sheriff's deputy in Lubbock, Texas, seen here dangling off a highway overpass as a group of good Samaritans rush in to help.
Heard a crash. Someone had hit that cruiser and pinned those two guys up against the wall.
The sheriff's department says the two deputies were outside their parked patrol cars helping a driver when a semi-truck crashed into one of their cars, pinning the deputies against the guardrail. Witnesses at a nearby gas station ran over, officials say, appearing to use rope and ladders to hoist the deputies.
Wow.
We got our ladder. The only thing we can do is just grab it and help out as best we can.
The sheriff's department writing in a statement, "Thank you, Lubbock citizens, for watching over our deputies."
Smash, the second body was just found today. That was at the 4 o'clock news. They just found it within the last couple of hours, so they didn't know anything else about it. The other one was found yesterday or day before yesterday. I have no idea what the story is on this one. It said the Seahawks. The headline is the Seattle Seahawks kicked off their NFL season with undercover cops in opposing jerseys. So were they trying to entrap fans? Trying to get... Oh, no problem, Smash. I am happy to clarify anything, go back. That's what I'm here for. I am your news Sherpa. They had undercover cops in opposing jerseys, so they're trying to entrap people that might bully opposing teams, maybe? I don't know. Let's find out.
At Lumen Field in Seattle, a sneaky security wrinkle after the Seahawks announced undercover law enforcement officers will wear opposing team jerseys at home games this season to quickly snuff out guests violating the fan code of conduct. Sunday, that meant police posing as San Francisco 49ers fans.
Really?
Everything is safe. We don't need that, to be honest with you.
I think it's good, it's for safety.
The Seahawks telling NBC News they've been using this tactic for more than a decade on and off, with Seattle police adding in a statement, it's to ensure that all fans, no matter who they root for, feel safe coming to Seattle for a game. So just be aware that the person you're heckling might be an officer. The measure coming as fan behavior remains under the spotlight.
Fan hits him up on the head.
On Sunday Night Football, 2 Ravens players, including star quarterback Lamar Jackson, were hit on the helmet by a fan wearing a Bills jersey, with Jackson shoving back. The quarterback later apologizing.
Both moves, the fan hitting him on the helmet and the quarterback shoving them back, both seem perfectly acceptable to me. It's football. Jesus.
The measure coming as fan.
Thank you, Smash. I'm going to sneeze like 10 more times.
Fan hits him up on the head.
On Sunday Night Football, 2 Ravens players, including star quarterback Lamar Jackson, were hit on the helmet by a fan wearing a Bills jersey, with Jackson shoving back. The quarterback later apologizing as the NFL indefinitely banned the fan from all league events. Right? A fan that engages in unruly and disruptive behavior.
Boo.
The privilege of attending NFL games.
The fan was just horsing around.
Seahawks Fan of the Year in 2024 says she's on board with Seattle's clandestine cops.
Do you think what the Seattle Police Department is doing will help to protect?
Of course you would, Karen.
I think yes. And I think that is what they are trying to accomplish.
Sam Brock, NBC News.
We thank you for watching. And
shut up, Tom Llama.
And top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
We miss you, Lester. I actually do. Lester was like warm, welcoming. I appreciated Lester. I didn't know how much I was going to miss him. Kinsai, good evening. I don't know what to think about this story. We've done a lot of stories about tariffs and shit, but this could definitely drive the cost of goods up when you have dozens of shipping containers just falling into the bay.
In the port of Long Beach, where more than 50 containers fell off of a cargo ship into the water.
And you saw it right here first on ABC 7. No one was reported injured, but the mishap has forced the temporary suspension of cargo operations. This is a live view from Air 7. Crews are working to remove the containers from the water. Eyewitness News reporter Leo Stallworth is live at the port with the breaking developments right now. Leo?
Yeah, my friend, and those crews are working at a feverish pace. Over my shoulder here is the cargo ship. That's where the issue is happening. And one of the things that they wanted to do was stabilize the ship, because within the last 30 minutes to an hour, more of those cargo containers have been falling off that ship on the port side because the tide is rising. And of course, there's
more
containers in the ocean, and those work crews in the ocean trying to retrieve those cargo containers. Here's more on the story.
Oh, what's going on the stacks?
Yes!
Eyewitness News obtaining this video showing cargo containers falling off this cargo ship like dominoes this morning just before 9. The rumble.
Oh, you're right, Tones.
Containers setting off alarm bells for the ship's crew and work crews on the ground at the port of Long Beach. Nearly 24 of the containers plunging into the ocean at Pier G.
If this had happened under Biden,
others toppling over.
We'd never heard the end of it.
More than 50 containers either smacking into the ground port side or splashing into the ocean. The radio chatter sounding off during the mayhem. It appears some of the overturned containers were filled with merchandise like sandals, which we saw floating in the ocean.
Looks like we've got about 15 or more containers in the water. We're going to head back and get a secondary boat to see if we can push some of these around.
Port police arriving, spraying the area to keep the containers in the water from floating away. Port officials either don't know yet or are not saying what caused the mishap. Richard Folks is an iron worker at the port who's been on the job for several years. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, we had a gentleman who works out here tell us, he said, like, man, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 containers topple over, but dozens of containers toppling over into the ocean. He said that's something different.
Yeah, I believe it. I would say 1 or 2 would be an accident, you know, just getting a little too fast with the crane, but something like this is probably a major error somewhere.
Our Eyewitness News camera recording more cargo containers sliding off the ship, smacking into the ground at the port. This happening several hours after the first containers became dislodged, sliding off the ship. Port officials mobilizing to undergo a head count for the ship's crew, ensuring they were all accounted for and safe. Was this a major debacle?
Yeah, absolutely. It probably maybe a couple weeks or a month just to get everything sorted out, I would guess. It's just a matter of time and money. But as far as the cleanup, it's going to take people out there hooking up each one of those boxes individually to get them off. And so it will be a dangerous job.
To get them off.
And again, one of the biggest things that work crews out here wanted to do was stabilize that cargo ship, preventing those containers from toppling over. And we have not heard any of those containers coming off that ship in the last 30 minutes or so. And the silver lining here, despite this mess, is that the crew, every one of them apparently, has been accounted for and they are safe. Live at the Port of Long Beach, Leo Stallworth, ABC 7.
There's a poll on what to watch.
Back to you.
Just incredible
in
video.
The chat.
You answered my question. I was wondering.
Just incredible.
30 minutes. We had seen more of them coming down, but certainly there is that risk. Leo, thank you. We continue our team coverage with Chris Christie. He's live in Air 7 with that view from above. Chris.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. Really fortunate that nobody was hurt.
Ducky, it's awesome.
What a fiasco here at the port. You can see cargo containers all over the place here, still dangling off the side of that Mississippi Madeira, a Portuguese registered cargo ship. You can see containers all around the ship.
I would like to pop it on you and you find out what it is.
A worker here at the port just moments ago. He tells me he has worked at this port for 35 years, has never seen anything like this, but he did say that investigators are eyeing the possibility that there was a balancing issue with the ballast inside of that ship. The ship was listing at the time that those cargo containers started to spill over and may very well be what caused this accident. Obviously, a major investigation underway here at the Port of Long Beach. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
It is amazing when you see that view. You're reminded how many they.
I'm having a hard time here. I've probably got like 5 more sneezes in me.
Chris, thank you. Keep us posted.
They aren't saying what caused it. Can we watch it happen again?
A bunch of those things that they wanted to do was. Yeah, my friend. And
cargo operations. This is a live view from Air 7 crews.
No, I want to see him fall again.
From the water. Eyewitness News reporter Leo Stallworth is live at the port with the breaking developments right now. Leo.
Yeah, my friend, and those crews are working at a feverish pace. Over my shoulder here is the cargo ship. That's where the issue is happening. And one of the things that they wanted to do was stabilize the ship, because within the last 30 minutes to an hour, more of those cargo containers have been falling off that ship on the port side because the tide is rising. And of course, there's a bunch of those cargo containers in the ocean and those work crews in the ocean trying to retrieve.
Whose line running away was it?
Here's more on the story.
Oh, what's going on the stacks?
Eyewitness News obtaining this video showing cargo containers falling off this cargo ship like dominoes this morning just before 9. The rumbling sound of the falling containers setting off alarm bells for the ship's crew and work crews on the ground.
If you don't know what Crunk is, she's like a British comedian.
Plunging into the ocean
it's a documentary, mockumentary style show.
Others toppling over dockside at the
You'd be like, oh, I know her from the memes.
Smacking into the ground port side or splashing.
So that's where I found her from.
Radio chatter sounding off during the mayhem. It appears some of the overturned containers were filled with merchandise like sandals, which we saw floating in the ocean.
Looks like we've got about 15 or more containers in the water. We're going to head back and get a secondary boat to see if we can push some of these around.
Port police arriving, spraying the area to keep the containers in the water from floating
No,
away.
Smokey, I really don't want you on my lap because if I sneeze again, you're going to claw the shit out of
Are
me.
not saying what caused the mishap. Richard Folks is an iron worker at the port who's been on the job for several years. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, we had a gentleman who works out here tell us, he said, like, man, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 containers topple over, but dozens of containers toppling over into the ocean. He said that's something different.
Yeah, I believe it. I would say 1 or 2 would be an accident, you know, just getting a little too fast with the crane, but something like this is a major error somewhere.
Our Eyewitness News camera recording
too fast with the crane.
Sliding off the ship, smacking into the ground at the port. This happening several hours after the first containers became dislodged, sliding off the ship. Port officials
This is wild. I love it.
a head count for the ship's crew.
I live for this kind
ensuring
of
they were
story.
all accounted for and safe. Was this a major debacle?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably maybe a couple weeks or.
Please shut the fuck up. I don't care that there was a child
It's just a
abduction.
matter of time and money. But as far as the cleanup, it's going to take people out there.
Ain't got nothing to do with me. I didn't abduct the kid.
To get them off. And so it will be a dangerous job.
And again, one of the biggest things that work crews out here wanted to do was stabilize that cargo ship, preventing those containers from toppling over. And we have not.
I could probably get you an update on this now.
30 minutes or so. And the silver lining here, despite this mess, is that the crew, every one of them apparently, has been accounted for, and they are.
Chris Christie might actually still be out there circling it in the helicopter. Let's see him pass out some treats. This is Mo Mountain Mutts.
Thank you for riding with Mo Mountain Mutts.
I love Mo Mountain Mutts.
Complimentary Cuddly Crisp with your bus ride. Up front here, we have Big Louie.
You're in Segway, Alaska? Kegway?
We have the 3 Bear Dog siblings. Guinness.
Skagway.
Gandalf. Echo. There's Carl. Louie, little toothless. It's gonna have some beef liver. Nice and soft.
Louie get some beef liver.
Dynamic duo here. Jake.
I love Jake. Jake's been with him since we started watching him, what, 3-4 years ago?
That's Telly back there being very impatient.
Animal video has been like the longest running tradition on the Troll Patrol.
Wesson. Bentley. Jameson. Gentle.
Look at that coat.
Lila.
Tater. Is that a Maru in the back?
Whiskey.
Oh, he was so gentlemanly about it.
Hey, back up, bud. Back up. Back.
You want to see the puppy, Smokey?
Mika. I do make the most impatient dogs go last. It's good for their impulse control. They got calm by the time I got back here. Good boy, Telly.
Oh, this is Tully. Well, I think this is like it's a doggy daycare training school type deal.
Another one over here. Please stay in your seat.
And the ones you see that go out on the bus are the most well behaved.
Tails out of the aisle, Jake. All right, Echo, Louie, and Carl, are you sitting? You are sitting in the emergency exit.
I'm sorry, Byronic. Dogs aren't weird enough for
In
you.
a remote chance of an emergency. Thank you for your service. Starting with Mo Mountain Mutts. Would you guys like a complimentary Cuddly Crisp with your bus ride?
Indica makes reality less real in a not fun way. I always go with sativa because indica usually, you know, they always say it makes you go to sleep. It doesn't really affect me that way.
We have the 3 bear dog siblings. Guinness.
Who's line running away with it? Twitch people. You've got like another couple minutes to vote in the poll for what to watch after the stream. Kind of sad nobody picked the rehearsal.
There's Carl.
I should have just played it.
Louie, little toothless. It's gonna have some beef liver. Nice and soft.
Yeah, you know what?
Dynamic.
I'm gonna pull an audible. You can stay tuned for whose line is it anyway after you watch the rehearsal.
Amaru.
Because if you don't know about it, this is gonna be the first episode.
That's Telly back there being very impatient. Shh. Sit. Good boy. Wesson. Bentley.
I'm a man of the people, so we'll watch a couple episodes of Whose Line afterwards.
Gentleman.
And it could be any time period of Whose Line. I've got them all. I put them all on a playlist and randomized it, so it could be any. It could be British. It could be Drew Carey. It could be Lana. But was it Aisha Tyler? YouTube people, podcasts, Kick, Rumble, D-Live, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun, but we're at the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol, live.
I do make the most impatient dogs go last. It's good for their impulse control.